Hi, my name's Jeff Fissel, and I'm the Vice President of Technology here at GP Strategies. And I wanted to quickly walk you all through some of the work we've been doing with Microsoft. So, the first part of it, if you notice, there was kind of two primary areas. The first was understanding and developing consistent metadata around learning content. What we've realized was to be able to get these AI agents to scale, we have to help them understand the learning data that they have access to today. So we've worked to standardize that process so we get good, high quality metadata. And from that, we get a good amount of value of being able to understand what's going on within our learning content today. So what I'm showing you here is a sample of that metadata in an HTML format. In most cases, it comes out in JSON or some structure that goes in another tool, but HTML is way more fun to look at. And this is of a hour-long recorded Teams meeting, a video that was loaded in. But the same thing could happen for e-learnings, PDFs, videos, PowerPoints, SCORM files, all that type of content can be processed. So we're starting to get ideas around titles, descriptions, target audience, prerequisites. We're tagging the content to specific taxonomies that the Microsoft team provided. So disciplines and professions. We're tagging it to proficiency levels, segments, solution areas, industry application, organization, stages, things like that. These aren't made up terms. These are specific taxonomies that were provided that are tagged to it so it can start to show up and be populated across the content management structure inside of Microsoft. We're doing the same thing with skill tags. So again, tagging it to the exact taxonomy that's there with justification and confidence scores on everything we do. We're then generating standardized learning objectives. This is done in a terminal enabling kind of format following the Bloom's taxonomy. So we have a standardized structure of what's covered within that and the primary learning outcomes. This becomes really important for when we start to create derivative work so we can make sure we anchor back to these and we're creating higher quality content. So you'll see some examples of the learning objectives that are generated here. We're then, if it's video or audio based, analyzing who's speaking and what they're talking about, the justification, the keywords, the topics they covered. This becomes great information to feed into your HR system so that you can help people start to find mentors or connect with experts in the organization that you might not know are experts. So this becomes really great for priming a lot of the Microsoft 365 skills data and things like that inside of that suite. We then start to have a detailed understanding of what's going on inside the content. And that manifests in this case as an outline. So I can see what's being covered at specific moments in time within the content. And this is designed to be human readable, but also optimized for AI. So when the agents start to look at this to serve up segments of the content, they know exactly where to look. And they can find much more high quality and reliable results as they pull that information in. So again, you see that. A pivot off of that I thought was interesting was video clip suggestions. This was a scenario where we wanted to find logical segments where we could cut and make standalone videos. So you'll see here's an 8-minute clip that suggested a 15-minute clip here about GitHub models, a 5-minute clip here about deploying AI applications. So it's not just random clips. These are based off of logical segments where we've embedded that expertise from our instructional team of when to segment a video into an agent that's able to do this autonomously for them. We also start to do weighting and density metrics around topics and keywords. And this also becomes important when we start to understand what's actually covered inside of piece of learning. Tags are great, but it doesn't give you that density metric. So here we're starting to get the weight of what's actually covered inside the content. And we do that at a topic level and also a keyword level so that we have that prioritization that we're able to do when we want to start creating new derivative work. Off of just this thing, we do start to create some new derivative work right here, like a marketing document, something to help people promote what's going on within that content. That's, again, automatically generated. We're also starting to automatically generate scenarios that are feeding some of the different tools that are there. This one's a case-based one, and you'll see, again, it relates back to a learning objective there and a couple key topics, and it provides all the components that are needed to start to build out a scenario, including the assessment questions that would come with it. So this has become really important as we start to use that metadata and that source content to create a lot of derivative work. The next stage we kind of took this to the level is what we talked about. What are those instructional shorts? So based on that density metric, we wanted to start to create shorter form video content that allowed people in about a 10-minute time period or less, somewhere in that 8 to 15 minute range, get a good understanding of what was actually covered inside an hour-long video session. So the first thing that the AI tool does was take the presentation and the recorded video, come up with the core talking points that were covered slide by slide, and then generate a script that talks about what was covered there. A very concise kind of, again, based on that density metric, we're able to start to kind of hone in on what's covered. And we create this storyboard that becomes human reviewed. And then that automatically gets fed to a tool like Synthesia here that creates a synthetic video and audio based on that same presentation. So it took an hour-long presentation and created a 9-minute version of that. And this has been widely successful. These are out on YouTube. They've been pushed out around the organization because people aren't just getting that chat-based information, but they're actually getting compelling visuals and good information about that topic that they're able to push out.